How are you? Thanks for accepting this invitation.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. I know it's been such a long
A
time.
while, yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to reconnect with that Vox Novus little event. That went great. And nice to be back in touch again.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, I'm talking with Logan Barrett and composer based in Buffalo, New York right now, and teaching at SUNY Fredonia, right?
Hmm.
Um, So yeah, it's been such a long time. I'm trying to think what was the last time I saw you in person. That must have
Oh, you played at Eastman. You did the George Crumb, I think.
right. George Crumb and David Lipton. That was
Yeah, yeah.
relation program. That was before pandemic.
I guess it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was. So that was 2019, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been such a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you were studying at the time, was it master's or doctorate at the time, 2019?
Yeah, I think that was the first year I was there. So I would have been a master's student then.
Right. Yeah, your life has changed quite a bit since then.
Yeah, especially last year. I am no longer in residence there, and I've just moved to Buffalo just a couple months ago. So it's been a huge change.
Right. Our last interview was with composer Youngjun Lee, who also was
Hmm.
Eastman. And we talked a lot, of course, about his music and his life. And we always ask the guest if he has any recommendation for the next interview. And Youngjun gave me your name,
Hmm.
and he said he had a lot of help from you and support. So I assume that it was great friendship and relationship.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were right at East. He was in his master's, I think, in the second year of mine or something like that. And it was during the pandemic where it was really hard to like connect with anybody at school, So we kind of got close during that time.
Yeah, but you must have left a really good impression on him.
Yeah,
Although,
that's good to hear.
yeah, although there was limited in-person activity because of the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, uh, that's always great. Yeah, I remember that you were heavily involved with OSIA at the time.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I was involved with OCA for many, many years. It was really like essential to my experience in grad school, I think. Um, I was I was president, I guess, 2 or 3 years ago, something like that. And that was really great to be a part of. The just knowing that it's the big student-run new music organization at Eastman. They do an international call for scores every year, so like composers all know what OCA is because they all submit to the call every year. Um, and when it started, it's like I think 27 years old now or something like that. Um, like the first round of that turned into Alarm Will Sound, which is like the biggest, chamber orchestra playing new music in the US. So it's kind of big shoes to fill, right?
Right, and continuing the tradition.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's impressive, and also I think it's related to what you're doing, what you're trying to do. It's not just composing and being a composer, but I think you have a bigger vision. So we'll get into it, but um,
Hmm.
we usually talk about your past first, and you know
Hmm.
how you started your profession as a composer, and was there any kind of motivation there, or even inspiration to become a composer and be in the music business, in the music scene. So, yeah, if you want to share a little bit of your past, though.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Well, I grew up in Tampa, Florida, where camp is based, right? Um, I have kind of a bit of a musical family, not, I mean, really only amateur musicians. My parents are. My mom played violin in high school, and my dad plays a little bit of guitar. Really enjoys music. And I have some relatives that played piano, so we eventually got an upright piano that w was in my at my grandparents' house, and we brought that over to our house when we moved. Um, so I had instruments around, and I knew that music was a thing. I think, when I was a little kid, some family friends gave us just a keyboard. Um, and I think that's what got me interested in music in the first place. Because there just was some built-in like little songs that it would play, and I would like play it on the keyboard, and it would just play it, and then I would play it back on the actual keys, and I was like, oh, you can, play back the same thing and record that, and I was just really interested by that. Um, I really got into sheet music and method books. I never really had piano lessons or anything until like the end of high school, really. But we inherited some piano books, just some like early childhood books, and I just went through those myself and read them. And I was just so interested in like, oh, you can write down a note and represent it this way, and I just was so fascinated by these ideas and that these things were out there and that people were, you know, writing down and recording music this way and all of that. Um, I think more than any of the musical content, to be honest with you. Um, I think later on, I was in band in middle school and high school. I played the trumpet. I had a really impactful middle school band director. His name's Kevin Fuller. He's still based in Tampa, um, in that area. But I started like finding pieces that I was really interested in, and like it wasn't just like a activity anymore. Like I was like, oh, there are really composers like out there making unique work. Um, I think it was probably I think Rite of Spring by Stravinsky. That's a classic piece that composers um have their eyes open to. I heard that in like junior year of high school or something like that, and I was like, oh, you can really people are really doing something with this. So that's where I basically it like occurred to me that like someone could be a composer or that's like a thing that people have done before. Um, and then I suppose also I think my junior or senior year of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do for college at all, but I went to something called the Festival of Winds at the University of South Florida. It probably still takes place there. Yeah. So I went there as a trumpet player. And the professor at USF at the time, Baljinder Sekhan, gave a presentation, and I saw that. And that really showed me like, oh, like you can study this and really pursue that, and someone will like help you. So I ended up applying to University of South Florida for music composition, and that's how I got here, I suppose.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because I'm a pianist, so I pick up on this that you just kind of self-taught yourself piano.
Hmm.
Uh, you were a pianist for a
Hmm.
lot of music concerts and ensemble during your time at USF. I remember that we needed a
Hmm.
lot of times, and you were playing it all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and I still did it at Eastman too. Yeah, there I was a little more scared because the pianists are really good, and there's so many of them. But yeah, I still play piano a little bit now too. I just performed a couple of months ago at Fredonia.
Yeah, also I remember we were on the same project. We were both in Tyler Klein's Orchard project. It was that, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, a collection of 50 short piano pieces, and you were one of the pianists. Um,
Yeah, that was a very nice project. It was great to be a part of that.
yeah, it was a fun project. I felt like we have a lot of mutual friends, and we
Hmm.
also involved with projects together, both knowingly and without knowingly. It was
Hmm.
really nice to see your name when we worked on 15 Minutes of Fame by Vox Novus.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was really fun learning it, and then also, I guess, running to your name. And um,
Hmm.
it was, I don't think we worked as an ensemble with you together before. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, nice to dip my toe back in the water of the Tampa community.
Yeah, I know. Because you have left for a while by now.
Hmm.
Um, and most of your work, what I saw now is in the north.
Hmm.
So yeah, do you have any plan to come back here and do some work with people here? I mean,
Oh,
other than the
yeah.
short piece that you did for us.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, we'll see. I'd love to go to campground sometime. Yeah, one of these years I'll have to like carve out some time and take a trip back down.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Yeah, we're always excited to have new composers that we have not worked extensively before. So that will be fun. And uh, your friends and family is still in the area?
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah, part of my family's moved to southern Mississippi, but it's kind of like half there and half in Tampa. Um, yeah, I know that camp has really grown since I left. Like in they've really integrated into the art scene of Tampa, like into the broader community outside of just the school into Ybor City and all that. Um, and I know a few composers that have gone to it and they just had like such a great time. Like, you know, I think Yi Ning Lo I most recently talked to, and she just had a fantastic time there. So I've heard many, many good things about what camp is doing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun, and we get support, and of course, thanks to a lot of great composers coming to the festival. So yeah, I mean, you talked about the community and give us such compliments that we're settled in and collaborating with other arts organizations here. But you also did a lot of work, um, part of course, OSIA, but I saw your projects with dance company and other organizations in Rochester.
Hmm.
So obviously you have this vision for the arts and collaboration. So it would be great to hear about that from you. So I would love to learn about what you have done in Manchester.
Hmm.
It seemed like a lot of different activities from, the music, ambient music for the hospital to
Hmm.
the collaboration between dance and ensemble outdoor event.
Hmm. Hmm.
And also, if you can talk about if you have any further plan to, do something like that in where
Yep.
you are.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think Rochester, New York has a really vibrant art scene, like in all arts, I like in my circles, people go to the Eastman School of Music just to study music, Um, but it's such a great community there that I kind of discovered throughout my time living there. I guess it was like 7 years or so. Um, there were a few things that kind of got me out. Um, outside of the just the downtown area. I did a music leadership certificate kind of thing. Um, so I did some internships as a part of that. I did one with Biodance. That's a Rochester-based dance company, run by Misty Full-Smith, who loves to engage musicians and young musicians in the Rochester area, and also young dancers as well. They do a bunch of stuff. Um, I interned for the 5x5 New Music Ensemble. They have the same instrumentation as the Now Ensemble. They're a chamber music organization in Rochester. Worked for their artistic director, Laura Lentz. Um, and then OSEA, also, like I think having had those experiences when I got to be an executive board member with OSEA, I really made an effort to, bring that to the people that I've met and to the broader community in general. Um, so yeah, we did a few things. A lot of the stuff you mentioned was through OSEA, like the outdoor dance project. That was with Biodance and OSEA performing. I made like a phone app that was like interactive, and like I had the audience download it and they would move it around during their performance, and there were musicians and dancers all performing. That was at the Rochester Museum and Science Center. Um, and that was super fun. It was really just like I wanted to get us involved with dancers in some way. It's kind of like it was an event that's kind of at the end of the summer, so like some people were in town, but like school hadn't quite started yet. And so like we needed a really easy project that like didn't take a ton of rehearsal time. Um, but which we could like get musicians out there and involved, and like having meaningful interaction with dance. So we took that approach to it. Um, there's some other things I've done. I think a huge project that was very important like last year. This was with a choir in Rochester, a community choir named the Mount Hope World Singers, um, and their artistic director Annika Bently. Um, we met just I think I did a live stream for them. I do some like a little bit of freelance video stuff, and I did that for them, and then we ended up doing an artistic project together. Annika approached me, um, and for that I did for it was a full choir show, an hour of music, and I did live sound design. Uh, there's a theme and everything. The theme of it was a whole concert program based around sensory perception. Um, Annika got the idea from this book by Ed Young called An Immense World, and it's about sensory perception in animals. Um, and we really wanted to develop a project that related those ideas to the idea that like perception between different people is fundamentally different. And it's like the way that you understand the world. It's not just like to imagine like what a bat would see the world as. It's not just like you extend your own senses, like it's a fundamentally different thing. Um, and there's a lot of other stuff involved in that as well that we talked about. But I did some sound design that like moved weaved in and out of the songs, and I wrote some interludes. And there was also a video projection artist, Christine Banna, who I'm still working with on a project right now. We're about to perform, but she did live projection for all the songs as well. Um, and so that was kind of just my own project with them. Kind of after I got out of OSEA and all of that. That's some of the stuff that I've done. I that project I just mentioned, we are hoping to extend that thing into a bunch of other realms. We're doing a version of it, just me and Christine, the video production artist. We're going to perform that in Toronto at the end of this month on April 25th, I think. So we're going to take that around. I'll have her perform with me at Fredonia in the next year, um, stuff like that. Although I'll say like, I've moved to Buffalo, in August. So like we'll have to see how all those things work out with the distance. And that's kind of where I'm at with all that stuff.
Yeah, it's exciting that it's going to be in Toronto.
Yeah, yeah, that it'll be at the Magic Lantern Society convention. It's like the old school like projection things. Like they would burn a fire and have these slides.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I think we are both Christine and I are both doing digital. We're both digital artists. Like I do digital sound and she does digital projection. I think we're the only people there who are not analog. Like everybody else is like bringing in historical gear and doing stuff with it. So it'll be fun.
yeah, that's very exciting. Yeah. Um, yeah, let us know. And if there is any way we can also promote, um, we'd love
Yeah, yeah.
to, or if there is any kind of um, a recording available or anything like that that we can watch and have experience indirectly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Remind me at the end. I
Yeah,
think I'll
yeah,
remember.
definitely do that. I wish I can go to Toronto. I love the city too. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, cool. Yeah. I was reading your bio, and there's some of your artistic statement really jumps out at me, and so I thought I should ask you about it.
Mhm.
It says fascinated both by the narrative possibilities new technology can bring to musical performance and the role of musical traditions in society. Um, I thought that was really interesting statement. So maybe you can talk about that. And share, your thoughts, how you came up with this, and what
Mhm.
your, thoughts behind this. And then I would definitely want to go to your pieces.
Yeah, I think I could go ahead and start talking about one of them. Um, yeah, I wrote this piece. It's called Four Loop. Um, it's for violin and electronics. This is a piece I wrote 1 or 2 years ago. I forget when exactly, to be honest, but it was I think either last summer or the summer before. Um, it kind of just came out of nowhere. Like I usually need a deadline to get a piece done. But this is the rare case where I just like had an idea and I completed the idea and got a product out of it. Um, it was originally for composed for a YouTube short as the format. It's you can see it on my YouTube channel, and I sent it along with my materials also, just the short version. Um, I just kind of had the idea of writing a piece for a YouTube short. Like it's a thing that everyone knows now from TikTok and all these things that we're, you know, maybe a little guilty for using too much or maybe try to avoid. Um, but we kind of all know this, and I think I kind of wanted to write a piece of music that dealt with that, um, because those they loop, they're a minute long. It's fundamentally different than like the concert hall that composers are trained to write for, right? And I was like, well, I think I want to deal with this some way. Um, yeah, I don't know, that was just in the air. Um, I had the idea of writing a crab canon, which is a canon where the two voices are reversed of each other, like Bach in the musical offering has one. Um, in mine, the audio is literally reversed. It's not like the other part is playing a backwards version of that voice. It's like they play one voice and I flip the video backwards. So if you see the piece, you'll understand it. It's probably easier to just see it than for me to explain it. Um, but anyway, I just combined that idea of a looping 1 minute video with the crab canon and the whole reversing thing. Just to like contemplate time and the way that time takes place in the digital format and all of that, you know. There's just so many things about that that I find really interesting. Just, you know, that like you know, the idea of using music to conceive of time differently or like assume that time works differently is as old as the recorded history of Western music. You know, like mensuration canons, like what if time moved slower? What if time moved faster? You know, inversion, what if pitch was upside down? You know, what if time moves backwards? You know, all of these things. This has been around for as long as music as we know it has been around, right? Um, And I wrote that piece just with that in mind, I think. And it's also just like I don't know, I really like the technique of canons. Like it helps me get the piece out, you know, because a canon is like you write one note and then you already have two, right? Um, Hard for me to get two notes out on any piece on any given day. So that really helped me, right? Um, but yeah, I just think that I think I was thinking of that as maybe like an experimental kind of piece, but it really taught me that like, you know, that counterpoint is informed fundamentally by this. You know, like if you think of time a different way, that influences the counterpoint and the decisions that one would make as a composer, right? I like really learned that. I think also the non-pitched parameters of music, you know, timbre and like dynamics, for example. Um, you know, when you reverse a sound, like, you know, we have ways of marking intensity in music, you know, forte, piano, we use crescendos. It's this little line that two lines that wedge outwards or inwards, you know. Um, that means different things in different periods of music history, like different performance practices treat those things in a different way. Um, and when you're working with reverse time, um, just all there's so many like presuppositions there that are questioned right away. You know, like if I put a half note and a crescendo on it, or maybe a flared crescendo that goes out to like a triple forte, and put like, you know, some articulation on the end of the note, you know, things that, you know, string instruments are good at playing. You know, if you reverse that literal audio, you know, that's not the same as like starting on a triple forte and then decrescendo. You know what I mean? There's all these like paradoxes and things that you come across when you do that. Um, and when you try to write it down, you know, like if you reverse a triplet, like it's not going to be in the same place, and there's all kinds of stuff with that. Um, yeah, you could show either of these at any point. Um, And maybe I'll just say at the end, I ended up taking that piece and adapting it for the concert hall, like for live performance. I sent that one along as well. Um, and in that one, I wrote out both parts, and then they read and switch between the parts. Um, and there's a microphone recording it, and it does the process live. Again, you have to like it'll make more sense to just watch the piece than to hear me explain it. But there's microphones, they record it, and then the speakers are behind the violinist. You usually never want to do that when you're using microphones, because that causes feedback. But the feedback is the point. So it feeds back. The speakers play a reverse version of the last minute back into the microphones. The live violinist is playing in counterpoint with that. All of this stuff. Um, and so it completely changed the piece. You know, it took on a completely new meaning. And they also I adapted that live version like having no intention of doing that at first. I originally only wrote it for a YouTube short. I didn't think it was gonna be anything else. And then completely after the fact, when all the notes were done, I did this live version. Um, and it just brought up all these other things that were so interesting to me. Um, I just think that exploring that, like, you know, the relationship with the tradition of live performance and like the act of live performance and also like what all that means, you know, I find a lot of really interesting things and all of that. And I'm hoping to explore that in other pieces as well.
Yeah. Let's watch the both, I think, back and forth. We can watch the YouTube short, uh,
Hmm.
and then we can go to the live performance video.
Yeah, sounds good. The other one is it's called Discrete Time. That is from a few years ago at this point. 2022, 23, something like that. That's a piece for a sinfonietta. Um, so basically one of every orchestral instrument in the ensemble. That's kind of, that feels like an early piece now, basically. I don't know. It feels so long ago at this point. Um, but I think that kind of I was interested in very different things at that time. I think it was the first year of my doctoral program. I had written a piece for Sinfonietta before that larger ensemble as a master's student, and then I had just decided like, okay, well, I think I'll do this again. I think I'm ready now. Um, yeah, there were a few things I was interested in. I think kind of just the whole like technology thing, I guess pops up there also. I one I, I think one of my favorite instruments in the world is the player piano. Um, if you know the composer Conlon Nancaro, um, a, a massively influential composer for me. Um, basically everything he wrote in his whole career was for player piano, like for a piano roll. He moved to Mexico and had his own little thing, and he just worked alone in this completely different world for so long. Um, it's basically like what started the piano roll in modern day music production, like where you have the piano vertically and you have the notes going this way. It's like a different version of music notation. It's what film scores use now. Um, but the music that Nancaro wrote was just it's so completely different than anyone else in the 20th century, and it's because like just the way things worked on this instrument and what you could do were completely different. And I think a lot of people, some people describe his work as like, oh, the stuff he was writing was too hard for real people. And so he was disappointed by the live performances, so he went to the piano instead. And I never really believed that. I think it's more like he was interested in like the particularities of like what this new technology could provide. For him it was rhythm, right? You could get all these like weird rhythms that could be conceived but couldn't be it wouldn't make sense in performance in like live performance practice on instruments to do this stuff, so lots of very complex canons and you know weird rhythms and stuff like this. And like everything is forte, like there's no dynamics. So just like the way things work are completely different. um I this in this piece I kind of had that, I guess, in the back of my mind. I think funky rhythms I was interested in. And I think I think clarity, like clarity of the musical material, I think was really important. So that ensemble, it's basically one of every instrument in the orchestra. It's like single strings, four winds, four brass, two percussion, piano and harp. And I was like, well, you kind of have four, there's five strings, but you have like it's like almost four players in a part for each instrumental family. Like you have strings, brass, winds, percussion. This is like a four by four kind of thing. So I kind of thought of the ensemble as like a big quartet or something. Um, and so that's kind of like how I approach the whole thing. Everyone's always very separate. Um, just because I don't know, I just think that like it's large ensembles, like I think often like composers treat it as like they want things to blend. Um, or like the point of a large ensemble is to execute one or a few musical ideas where everyone is contributing to that thing. And I kind of wanted to do like the opposite of that. You know what I mean? Like I want you to know everything you have going on, right? When the brass are playing, that's it. You know what it is. Something like that, I would say. Um, yeah, I think I used a lot of major and minor chords. I hadn't done that before. I think because of Nankar, to be honest, like he would just like take something and turn it into a major chord and just transpose the major chord up and down the piano. I was really interested in that sound and how like it's a sound that everybody knows. Everybody knows what major and minor chords sound like, but to put them in like in a different musical syntax is really exciting to me because you have like familiar sounds that are in a an unusual context, right? Um, I think one other thing I can say about that piece is I that was the first piece I wrote with computer assistance. So I used some algorithmic techniques in Python. I coded a lot of these rhythms. Um, and I didn't make that many decisions like on a note by note basis at that point. Like I just like put it all in the computer, or I was like, oh, play this thing at this rate or whatever. I was plugging a bunch of numbers in, and then I would compile the program and it would give me the whole thing. Um, and so I would kind of just like, massage the material and interlace stuff and all of this, um, at a very high level, right? And I wouldn't really make that many decisions except kind of at the end on the low level. That I was also really interested in clarity. That's kind of why I was interested in that at that time, I think. The title is discrete time. That's from it's a technical term from like the Fourier transform. That's a way of like taking an audio signal and decomposing it into the harmonics that make it up. Um, and it's the that's a um, it's kind of an old mathematical idea, but have been able to do it recently, and it's used in audio for like pitch detection and stuff like this all the time. Um, but it's like you take a certain amount of time and you don't think of it as like left to right time anymore. You think of it as like here are all the frequencies, right? So over this chunk of time, here are the frequencies that are happening, not like the air is vibrating in time. It's more like, there's all these vibrations going on and you decompose that signal. I was learning about that in class also. So I was just really interested in that idea. So that's kind of where the title comes from.
So here is discrete time.
Yeah, so yeah, four times is a puro ensemble piece. I think I put two movements in there. Maybe since I was talking about discrete time, I might talk about movement four of that piece. Um, but that was the piece portion of my doctoral dissertation. So that's a extended like 15-minute piece for puro ensemble with the conductor. And each movement is like very, very different. Um, and it kind of combined a lot of my interests at the time. And it was just played, the recording that I sent you was just played in February, um, I guess a month and a half ago, by the Musica Nova Ensemble at Eastman.
Yeah, I recognize the big theater. Um,
Hmm.
so was it the performance or recording session?
It was a performance, yeah, on a Musica Nova concert series. Yeah, it was during audition week there, so they put it in the very big hall, which I don't know if was super friendly for that piece, to be honest. But it was cool to be in that hall and for the performance.
Cool. Were you able to go there and be in the performance?
Yeah, so I put that piece together and had it performed about a year ago, just in a rehearsal hall at Eastman. And then Brad Lubman, the conductor of Musica Nova, a professor at Eastman, saw the piece and programmed it on a Musica Nova concert. The same conductor, Pei Wenju, she conducted the premiere, then also conducted this. And we had a lot more rehearsal time, because it was just like a class, like a regular ensemble that met all the time. So I went to a rehearsal and workshop some stuff. Um, and then I was at the performance in February.
Yeah. It looked like rhythmically it's very intricate. That's
Hmm.
I felt there's Hackett and um, lining up, and I'm sure the ensemble worked on it a lot.
Yes, that is a feature of my music. Um, yeah, it's a dissertation piece, so I was like, well, this might be the last chance I get for a while to go for this.
Yeah,
But that fourth movement, it's kind of in the same style as discrete time. A lot of the 2D chords, like different people playing together at different times. Um, that same kind of texture.
right. Yeah. How was the rehearsal and working with the musicians?
Yeah, I didn't get to go too many times. It's always great if we had an infinite amount of time to rehearse, but there's practicalities. It was really nice to work with Pei Wen, the conductor. I was her TA she did a undergrad in composition, and I TA'd for her electronic music class. So we kind of knew each other from that. And then she ended up studying conducting, um, and we worked together on that piece. Um, and it's just like I felt like that was a piece where I just felt a lot more confident, um, just with the flow of the piece and um, just being able to communicate things to a conductor, and being able to collaborate with someone. Like this person will make decisions different than I would, and I am open to those things. Um, so I mostly talked to her about all that, um, and she ran the rehearsals. Um, yeah, I got to talk to the performers a little bit. Um, they asked some hard questions, which was nice to get. Stuff like, oh, is this note like, do you want it to be a part of the line or do you want it to be an interjection like out of the texture? And I'm like, both. I didn't know. I'm like, you tell me, right? Um, so it was nice to get um, feedback like that. Um, but yeah, and they pulled it off. Yeah, it's a hard piece to play. I'm very thankful to Musica Nova for putting that much time into it.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned a little bit about collaborating with the conductor, but also it will apply to performers and other collaborators that you're kind of open to different ideas and
Y-
suggestions.
Yeah, I think it took me a while to get there. Um, like I think I was just trying to figure out just the musical material I was interested in for so long. Um, like I think it wasn't until like quite recent, at the end of my doctorate, like my late 20s, that I really could like think about motion in a piece and how something's gonna evolve over time and make phrases that will breathe more. Um, I think a lot of my pieces before that, like it was they were so rational, that like collaboration was kind of difficult. Um, so I think this is one where it was really like, um, I think it was successful in that way.
Interesting. So just allowing more ideas and uh, kind of different opinions uh, on music, or yeah.
Yeah, I think for example, like in the fourth movement, there's just there's a lot of material that's kind of negotiable. Like I put there's kind of a tricky piano part. Um, Taya, the pianist, she does a really great job. Um, but I have stuff where it's like the hands are moving out, and it's like if you're a pianist, you have to like look at the music, look at the conductor, and look at your hands, right? Um, and I put things in where it's like I know it's going to be hard, and I'm putting it in because it's hard. Um, but then like I write that down, and then I can talk to the pianist and be like, oh, we like took some notes out at some point just because like, there was like a page turn or something, and I'm like, oh, that's not so important, but I do want this, and we can change the piece like right on the fly, you know. Um, or for example, and also in that fourth movement, like it's a very like strict kind of opening, and then it just goes into like a fugue kind of thing. Um, and there was kind of no system with that. Like I just like it just came to me one day, like it kind of like it does in the piece. I'm pretty much like I just wrote the whole thing in basically one sitting. And just the phrase length, like I was like the content was really guiding the form, like it does in the fugue. And I think working that way, like, really helped me like feel out how something would feel on an instrument to play. Um, and so it makes it so much easier to get into the weeds of like, oh, how are you going to shape this phrase? Like, how do I want it? How is the performer going to do that? Um, just stuff like that makes the collaborative process, like with real musicians, I think deeper.
Yeah. Um, do you feel that your music also kind of changing according to that experience, those experience, collaborative experiences, and
Yeah, that's a good point. I think like having to have collaborated so much, like it's kind of pushed my own practice, which was it's a personal thing, you know. It's pushed it in the direction of like I think about how it's going to look to somebody else, you know.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. What's coming up? What's next? What does future look like?
Yeah, I got a lot on my plate. It's my first year teaching. So I just started a position as a professor at SUNY Fredonia. Um, and I've been hanging on for dear life with that, just figuring out how to teach other people. It's not just teaching myself anymore. It's I got to teach other people, which is that's a challenge, right? Um, I am doing sound design for a film right now, with a filmmaker, an animator, named Bathsheba Duranville, um, based in Rochester, MFA student at Rochester Institute of Technology, RIT. Um, and so I've done a lot of the sound part of that film. We worked with the band in Ghana. The film's it's called Anansi and the Divine Journey. It's based on this folk character from Ghana named Anansi. It's kind of an imagined folk tale, an original folk tale based around that character. And we worked with a music studio based in Ghana and had jazz musicians there write music for us. And I'm doing a surround sound mix of that. Also doing the sound design for the film as well. And so that's coming up the first week of May, I think. We have a picture lock date soon. Um, I'm performing in Toronto on April 25th. Um, I'm doing live electronics, like live improvised electronics with that choir thing that I described before. That's at Black Creek Village, um, just outside Toronto. That'll be part of the Magic Lantern Society conference. Um, I am hoping to perform more um, as a pianist in the near future. My partner is a violinist. That's who I wrote that first piece for Loop, Artur Kurotin. We are looking to form a duo, like a piano slash electronics and violin duo, um, and get and make some curated programs and take them around um, in the next year or so. There's nothing set, but we very likely will perform a concert at Fredonia in the fall. Um, yeah, and I have to finish my degree also. I'm a ABD doctoral student and I have to finish my dissertation. So hopefully some of those things, yeah, they're all going to get done at some point. You know, I'll have to figure that out. Um, that's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, it was great catching up. Uh, and I hope that we can see each other in person.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll be back in Tampa um, soon.
Yeah, that would be really great. And oh, it's really great to hear your music, because I feel like I haven't heard it for some time. Uh,
Mm.
and also catching up and hear about, your music and life. So it was great, and thank you for talking with me and mm, being on this interview.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm honored to be invited to something like this.